Today's video, why is Spain richer than America?
We are Lisa and Greg, an American couple living abroad in Spain. If you are curious about the crazy, funny, and surprising differences between the US and Europe, you came to the right place. We're on our way to 10,000 subscribers, so you might as well go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can be like the other 9,999 people. All right. This is Antoinetta now, and we will include Lisa will include a link in the description so you can go and show her some love. We're going to try and get her up to 20,000 subscribers. Woo! Yes. All right.
Okay, and we're excited. We're doing our home adopted country.
Yes.
Spain.
Yes.
España.
Yes, and this is the first video in a series that we're starting, which is called Spotlight Sunday, where we're going to pick a country and we're going to it'll be outside of the countries and regions that we normally do. Or maybe it's one that we normally do, but we just want to put a spotlight on it for that week. So this is the first one in that series. So I think it's appropriate because we live here.
Yeah, I know. We were like, what? We never do Spain. Wait a second.
Yeah, so this is going to be interesting because we have a perspective of an American and Spain.
Adopted Spaniard.
Yes. All right, here we go. Let's see what we got here. First of all, let me do that. And then I'm going to do this. And I'm going to do this. By the way, I do want to say that the music sometimes is a little loud. So just be forewarned about that. But we're going to watch it anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's LA. Looks like.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no evidence to support the statement that we're the greatest nation in the world. We're 7th in literacy, 27th in math, 22nd
in science, 49th in life expectancy, 178th in infant mortality, 3rd in median household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We
lead the world only in 3 categories: number of incarcerated people per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending.
Wow, she is hitting hard. But also, I'm sure probably on something else, obesity is probably another one.
Yeah.
That's a whole bunch of stuff. But
yeah, so she's speaking as an American.
Right.
So that's where her perspective is coming from. So I wasn't sure if she was American or Spaniard or what.
But it's super interesting because there's a lot of Americans that think she don't know what she's talking about. They don't want to hear the truth.
Right.
People per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real.
Let me rewind it.
In household income, number 4 in labor force, and number 4 in exports. We
lead the world only in 3 categories: number of incarcerated people per capita, number of adults who believe angels are real, and defense spending. We spend more money than the next 26 countries combined, 25 of whom are allies.
When you ask what makes us the greatest country in the world, I don't know what the f you're talking about.
Where was that from?
I saw that movie. I
movie?
remember that scene. It's a movie.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it's a movie.
Oh.
I just don't remember.
I'm gonna find out.
This video was inspired by some of the comments in the expats groups and some of the comments on my channel and questions that I got. And it got me thinking about different issues that we face or that we faced in America. And the sad part is that they're still present there, and we have different reasons for why we move to a certain place, why we move from one country to another, or in general the choices that we make. But there's some undeniable truths that probably play a part in why we make certain decisions. Although the US is one of the richest societies in history, it still falls behind other developed nations.
And I just want to say that I know there's going to be some American who will complain because she has an accent.
Oh.
They'll be like, she's not American.
Oh, yeah.
She has an accent.
Yeah, she doesn't sound like she was born there.
Right, exactly.
She doesn't have an English or an American accent.
Right. And so they will discredit everything she's saying. And this is how America works. That's I can see that happen.
That's true.
Yeah.
Societies in history, it still falls behind other developed nations in some crucial indicators of human development, like education.
They would say, why are you there? That's what they would say.
Yeah.
They would be all like, well, if you don't like America so much, why don't you get out?
Yeah, exactly. You know? We're glad you left.
Right.
You know, something like that.
Healthcare, homelessness, infrastructure, culture, and social intelligence. The US, it's a mixed bag of people, ideologies, and literally every person wants a different thing from their neighbor. But we're all human beings, and there's some basic things that are vital to all of us, regardless of our background. In today's video, I want to discuss why I think Spain is richer than America.
Oh, that was very well done.
Yeah,
it was a good setup.
Was well done.
Yeah.
So I wonder if she's from Spain.
I don't know.
Yeah.
In America, every person is for himself. The whole nation is based on survival. And that's not because of poverty, but ideology. It is me generation. No one really emotionally cares about the other person. Everybody is focused on material gains rather than the humane aspect of society.
Yeah.
Which leads me to my next topic, which is a very painful and sad topic, homelessness.
Yeah.
There are billion-dollar companies in the Bay Area and chronic homelessness. How can even these two be put in the same sentence? How is this normal? There are bacteria in some states in the water that are found only in the poorest regions of Africa.
Yeah.
How is this a first world country?
Right.
So this is a bank
Yeah.
in the center, and I want to keep their.
I would say that a lot of it has to do with, in America, it's about making as much money as you can and keeping as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not about making as much money as you can and helping people who need it.
Right.
They feel like they should be able to help themselves. And if not, it's not their problem.
Right.
It's the people with the money. So, I mean, you could say that America is the richest country, but it doesn't really matter because they want to get richer and richer and richer just so they can have more and more and more.
Yeah.
So, we have friends that worked in environments where, their job was to make the company more money, and the people who run the company have gold-plated, dishes and all of these things. And meanwhile, the people who are helping them make more money don't get a bonus. They don't get anything like that.
Right.
So, yeah. So, man, I could talk about this one all day.
In the center, and I want to keep their privacy, but this is how they let homeless sleep in the bank in Spain.
Oh, wow.
And here I am under a bridge in Turia Park, which is a vast, huge park with many bridges, and there's 0 homeless people here. If this is in LA, it will be filled with tents.
Oh,
Yeah.
In Valencia, which is the 3rd largest city in Spain, I have barely seen any homeless people. The 2 homeless people that I saw were both reading books. One of them, he was sitting in front of Consum, and I saw a guy walk by and he gave him his dog and he gave him some change while he shops. But there is no schizophrenia, no sick people on the streets. In LA, for example, I was pushed by a shopping cart by a homeless lady in the middle of the street in downtown where I work. I was terrified, I was scared, and I was sad at the same time because these people are not just only homeless, they're sick. They need to be in a mental institution, they need to be taken care of. And how can you measure the wealth of a country if you see how these people are being taken care of?
Right.
How else can you measure the wealth? With numbers, with money? In Austin.
Yeah, we were mentioning this because we did a how Finland solved homelessness, or they're working on it, and we were mentioning that how in Spain we don't hardly see. We're in Malaga, so we're in a major city, and how we don't see it as readily as we did in the United States.
Right.
Everywhere we went, there was a lot of homelessness, and they were sleeping everywhere on the sidewalks. And they're here. We see them from time to time, but it's not it's not everywhere. It's not an epidemic.
Right. And it's interesting because what I see here a lot with, the homeless people that we do see is that people are willing to help them.
Yes.
Which
you do see that a lot.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's because it's not as many or whatever it is, but we'll be sitting at a coffee shop. We have a local coffee shop that we go to, and there's always a homeless guy sitting there, and people bring him a meal. They bring them coffee. We have a lady who stands kind of right outside of where we are, and she every day she leaves with 3, 4, 5 bags of groceries, and
but
like,
I don't think she's
people are willing to help.
Homeless either. I don't know.
She's not homeless. You're right.
Yeah, we've seen her go into an apartment.
That's true. That's
true. But none of them. She's right. None of them seem mentally ill. None of
Yeah.
them. The
That's
guy
true.
that's by that coffee shop, no, they're
That's
all
true.
just, down on their luck, but none of them seem mentally ill.
That's true.
There is a tech the wealth with numbers, with money. In Austin, there is a tech company that recently started a project dealing with homelessness, which is also a huge problem in Texas, in Austin specifically.
Yeah.
And they are creating something that it's based on the blockchain. They will create digital identities for all these homeless people because it's very hard to keep track of their documents, their identity. Most of them have no birth certificates, no ID, no social security, and these people struggle to get the care that they can from the government even.
I think this is old because you said 2018. We lived in Austin around that time. And homelessness, just like everything else, is political. Austin is considered a liberal city in probably one of the most conservative states in America, in Texas. And I know, and I believe here recently that the governor stepped in and made Austin get rid of all of the homeless people. I don't know where they went. This is what I believe I read maybe about a year or so ago. I could be wrong, but it's a political thing.
Right.
The reason that there's so many homeless people in Austin, which is a liberal city, is because they believe that they want to take care of the people.
Yeah, because Austin downtown has a center for them, so they all
homeless shelter.
A homeless shelter, so they all flock there, in hopes to be taken care of.
Yeah.
But then it just becomes overwhelmed.
Right. I mean, it's bad
because there's nowhere else close by.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is very bad.
So through these digital identities, they can start giving them health care and shelter and other things that would help them and make their life a little bit better. As many of you probably know, in most European countries, the education is free and everyone has access to it, which creates a better labor force, more entrepreneurs, skillful members of society, and so on. And we all want to give a better education to our children. One of the reasons I think Spain is richer than America, it's also based on education. In America, the average tuition is $5,000 to $50,000 per year.
Yeah.
In Spain, this number goes from $880 to $2,500 a year. Another huge difference is that in Spain, there are no school districts. You can enroll your child in religious school, in a regular public school, in a private school, but you're not limited to the region that you live in.
Wow.
I think this makes it very hard for Americans because it's determining where you can live, where you can afford to live, to pick a better school for your child. And I even have an example with a friend of mine who lived in Chicago, and she had to leave her apartment and go to a completely new house just because her daughter was studying in a different school. She can't keep going to the same school if she lives in a different location. And that's pretty sad because you want to find the best education for your child and at the same time keep it safe because as we know,
School shooting.
there are mass shootings in American schools, which leaves the parents in America terrified. And they're known here. That's not even a concept in Spain. I've never heard any news about mass shootings in a shopping mall or in school or in the park or anywhere.
So I think that this is super interesting because we often, you see videos out there, people talking about how stupid Americans are and they don't learn anything and all of this. And, I think that what she just pointed out is probably the biggest reason why there is a discrepancy between the education level based on where you live.
Right.
So we were in Pleasanton, California, which is like 98% of the students going to college, which is a lot. And they believe in education because
it was a wealthy city.
Yeah, it was a wealthy city. They believe in education. So they had that there. We've also, you can go just the next county over or the next city over and you'll have the worst schools. We lived in one where they essentially told us, like she said, they had school districts that you had to go in. They told us, they sent us a letter saying you can send your kids to any school you want because the school district is just so bad. No. The classes are packed with too many students. So, and this is what you have to deal with. It depends on the luck of the draw. And if you get into a city where the city doesn't value education as much, that's on the lower level, then unfortunately it's where you live. You can't afford to go anywhere else because you can't go to a private school. So you have to put your kid into a school that's going to give them a lesser education.
I mean, that's what we did because we bought a house. We were living in Pleasanton, and then we bought a house outside of Pleasanton. It was about 30 minutes out. The area was, I guess, not as wealthy as Pleasanton.
Right.
And so our oldest had to go to a particular school, and that school was just horrible. It was like the education that he was getting. He wasn't. It was like 2 classes behind.
Right.
And then the kids. They made fun of him.
Yeah.
For having good grades.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, he started getting bad grades because he was getting made fun of.
Yeah.
And so we had to. Luckily, I've mentioned this before, but I worked in an apartment complex. We were able to move back into an apartment, take ownership of an apartment, just so we could go back to that district that he was originally at, so you could go to that school. So we were you're stuck.
Yeah, you're stuck.
And if you live somewhere, you don't have an apartment that you can just go rent, and
you're
like
stuck.
They're stuck in that crappy education system.
And you can't put them in a private school because that costs you $20,000 a year for a high school and private school. So yeah. Okay. Don't get me mad.
Speaking of education, things don't stop only with academia. How we teach our children on values, lifestyle, health habits will shape their life. What we eat and how we exercise will determine our well-being. And Spain leads America in their food culture as well. One, that the Mediterranean diet, it's one of the best in the world, but also in the European Union, and since Spain is part of the European Union, there are a lot of ingredients that are banned in Spain and in European Union. There are a lot of ingredients.
Peeps? Oh man, we can't get Peeps out here?
No. Peeps, Jello,
Hostess, Kool-Aid. Oh my God.
Sweetest Fish, Red Vines. They have like their versions of Red Vines, but I don't know about. And their Hostess is crap anyway. Leaves a film on your mouth.
That's true.
Like, what is that? That's leaving a film on your mouth.
Well, I think one day we should do like a taste testing on candy and stuff there, because I feel like some of the candy and stuff out here is even better.
It does have better flavor.
Yeah,
because it's made the food coloring is like the actual fruit.
Yeah,
versus the
some
red
random
dye and
color.
Stuff like that. Yeah,
M&Ms, can't get them. Jimmy Dean, Salt Pillsbury.
Wow.
Oh wow.
That are banned in Spain
Land
and in
Lakes.
Europe, which are still present.
I've seen Pringles out here though, and Lay's.
Oh, but probably whatever chemical they're putting in America is banned here.
Oh, I see. Look on the right of Pringles and Lay's. It does show Spain.
Oh,
yeah. Okay, see it in the map.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
In American products. A study last year have found that in American counties, especially the ones in the deep south, the life expectancy is lower than the one in Algeria, Bangladesh, and Nicaragua.
Wow.
America, it's the only developed country that does not offer healthcare to its citizens. On the contrary, Spain has free healthcare for all its residents with an option to private care, which costs about $90 a month, and they will accept you with pre-existing conditions. Why? Because that's your human right and not a privilege.
That gave me chills.
Yeah, in America they don't care. I mean, the Affordable Care Act, which has been named Obamacare, one of the big benefits of that was that they got rid of the ability for the insurance companies to deny you because of pre-existing conditions. And which is amazing to think. And the pre-existing conditions could be, I believe, something as basic as you're pregnant, or something like that.
Yeah, or
any
asthma,
disease that you had in the past, or asthma, or something.
Yeah, there were so many people that were fighting against it, and we were, you know, there was a bunch of people who were for it, were beating our heads against the wall because it was like, you're making it about Obama versus what it's actually going to do for you. Well,
and they want to give money back to the insurance companies. They want to put, you know, the insurance companies have lobbyists who go there and lobby the president and all of these things. And so it's just a mess.
And in America, we have people that go bankrupt because of bills they couldn't pay.
Yes.
In a report from UNICEF, America was listed as the only country that does not offer paid maternity leave. In Spain, the maternity leave is 16 weeks.
I mean, what the hell? They don't give you paid maternity leave? Like, don't get pregnant. You want to work here? Don't get pregnant.
Right.
Because it won't work here. Because we only take people who don't get pregnant.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, it's horrible.
In Spain, the maternity leave is 16 weeks with an option to extend it for 13 more weeks. 15 years ago, the new dads were allowed only 2 days off work, paid 2 days off work to see their newborn. In 2007, based on the Spanish law of gender equality, this was extended to 2 weeks, which was pretty revolutionary even for the rest of the European countries. January 1st, 2021, Spain gives the new dads 16 weeks paternal leave, which is equal to the maternity leave.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that gave me chills.
That's awesome.
Most Spanish are in a better shape than most Americans, and there are a few reasons for that. One, it's that the regional governments in Spain created facilities, free public facilities, sports facilities in pretty much every neighborhood and village. And also the urban layout, it's in a way where it promotes walking and biking. Whereas in American cities, in most American cities, people get on their car and they go grocery shopping or they go to the coffee place. And partially it's habit-based, but on another hand, the urban layouts are not made for walking and biking. And this really reflects on the health on the American people.
Yeah, I mean, we lived across. We've said this before. We lived across the street from a grocery store, and we drove there.
Yeah.
So, like, because we were in the back of the apartment complex. By the time you walk out of the apartment complex, walk across the street, and you don't have anything to put it in. You got to bring back 10 bags of groceries. We drove we drove across the street.
Yeah. But I wanted to mention, she said that in Spain, and I'm sure I would imagine throughout Europe, that they have like these facilities that are strategically put for, like, it looked like she was just showing a lot of playgrounds, but there's a lot of like workout facilities. We just saw one yesterday. We were walking by a park and they were nice. Things to do pull-ups and to do things for your abs and those kind of things that aren't, I don't know if they're in America at all, or is it first
sometimes, but they'll be in America, 10 years old, like rusted, maybe, stuff like that. Like they're not all over the place, depending on the city, but maybe in California or something like that.
The wealth of a country, it's not being determined only by the material gains of that country. It is based also on how the government takes care of the people living there, what's provided to us, how easy is the access to healthcare and education and culture. Culture is another really important factor that enriches our soul. It adds to the value of the country, of the people living in that country. I watched an interview, it was actually a lecture with Jordan Peterson just this morning, and it was about how staggering beautiful Europe is. And what was so interesting there was the concept of beauty and how much society is willing to give in, to invest physically, financially, emotionally into art and culture. And he gave example with Sagrada Familia, which is in Barcelona. It's still not being completed. It's been built for like 300 years or so. And in America, things are measured in quarterly reports. Everything is fast, everything is instant and immediate, and there is no patience to invest in beauty and in culture. And I think this is also affecting our souls. It's affecting us emotionally. Right. There is a lot of street art here in Spain. There are a lot of free events and festivals and constantly something going on the street. And again, this accessibility that I'm talking about, people can witness and they can be part of something, of a cultural event at any time, cool. At any season, at any given moment. And in America, unfortunately, for most things that I visited, and I love going to galleries and museums, everything is paid and it's not cheap, which again, it prevents some people from going and seeing and connecting with art. Right. The US focuses on work, consumerism, and corporate profits. Yep. And while some people are being pushed to the bottom, others simply forgot how to live. Spain focuses on happiness, health, and well-being. And their simplified version of success, it's what I think makes Spain richer than America. And soon also we'll stop comparing the wealth of one country or another. The wealth will be measured by our human values, by our ability to care for one another. I hope I inspired some thoughts, some additional moments of wonder. And give it a like, and I will see you in my next one.
Oh, I like her.
Yeah, that was really good. So, I mean, she had a lot of good stuff to say. I mean, yeah. I
agree. It's not about money, is what she's saying, as far as richer. There's so much more to life than just money. And obviously, even with that wealth, it's not distributed well. People aren't humane. They lack humanity where they care for the people who don't have enough. And
you mean the people in America lack humanity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then, that's why we have such a huge homelessness problem. And
yeah. I mean, it's just so hard. I mean, some people know, but a lot of people might not even really understand the discrepancy in America. And it just has a lot to do with politics. It just keeps going to that. And it's even more divided now.
Right.
Because you have people in there who don't give up about people. Like they just care about money in themselves.
It has gotten worse since she posted this.
It has gotten 10 times worse. So like all the things that normally make sense, even for America, and like it doesn't even make sense anymore. It's like just crazy. Right. So
that's true. We even have a hard time making sense of it.
Yeah. It's like this, like, I don't even understand. And then I just, to some level, just kind of like, oh, well, I mean, that's just how it is. You just kind of give up because it ain't going to change.
You give up and you move to another country.
People will tolerate some crazy stuff from moral perspective and everything else. So, all right, let me go ahead and see what the people got to say. Okay, so, all right. Let me see. You are a brave person telling the truth about the U.S. I visited Spain last year for 3 weeks and plan to move there by the end of 2023.
Oh, I
have traveled to many countries, speak Spanish, German, some French, and some Italian. But I choose Spain for the climate, food, and culture.
Oh,
thanks for your courage. That's cool.
Great.
I've been a cop in Texas for over 15 years now and been to over 35 countries. I agree with you 100%. I'm retiring under 10 years and moving to Valencia.
Oh, wow.
Your videos keep me and my wife motivated.
Oh, yay.
All right. Come on over.
I know. I wonder how they're doing.
Well, I'm a teacher in Spain. I have 2 months of paid vacations in summer and 2 weeks at Christmas. We have a free public health system, also free public education. Spain is not a socialist country. It is a social democracy. That is a capitalist country that cares about the well-being of its citizens and their basic rights. And that same philosophy is common in many European countries. That is true.
Yay.
All right. Good video.
Yeah.
Good job, Antoinetta. And as always, thank you for stopping by. And we will see you on the next video.
Bye.
Peace.